Horse terms with Katie, part 2. I still think we can come up with a better name than that, but that's what we're going with for right now. So today we have 10 terms that I think if you are new to horses and new to this channel, you need to know. So let's start off with term number 1, mare. A mare is basically an adult female horse. So horses, we'll get into the younger names for these horses in this video. A female horse 3 years and older is a mare. Trudy is our example.
Go Trudy.
Number 2, gelding. Gelding is an adult male horse who has been castrated. So they have been castrated so that they cannot breed. If we're getting super technical, they no longer have their testicles. Bo had his for 24 and a half years. So this is Bo, our oldest gelding here. We were limited on options for a gelding, but he's the best one out of them anyway. So gelding, adult male horse who has been castrated.
Go Bo.
For the next term, we're gonna have to use a photo because we don't have one on the premises, but I do own 2 of them. So the next term is stallion. A stallion is an intact adult male horse. So they are able to breed. They have all of their equipment to do so. Bo doesn't have those, so that's why he's a gelding. VS code red, and first things first, my 2 stallions are my examples. So intact adult male, stallion. We had to use a photo because all of our babies from this here grew up. We don't have any foals at the moment. Well, we do on the mini farm, but a foal is a young baby horse that is still nursing. It is still on its mother's side. So from usually birth until about 6 months when they turn into a weanling. So Kirby here is one of our weanlings. She was weaned 2 months ago, so she is no longer nursing on her mother's side, but she's also not a yearling yet. She's about 8 months old. So Kirby is our weanling, and she's also very impatient, like a real toddler. And then after they're a weanling, they turn into a yearling. And a yearling is kind of a broad term. You know, with human babies, there's a vast difference between a 12-month-old and a 23-month-old before they turn 2. Same thing with horses. So a yearling can be one that's 12 months old or 23 months old before they turn a 2-year-old. They're all referred to as a yearling. And if you have a horse that's registered within a stock breed or thoroughbred, quarter horse, APHA, I believe also standardbreds, walking horses do this as well with a date. So January 1st is the birthday of all of our horses within AQHA, which is how I register my foals. So if you have one born late in the year, then they only might be 6 months old, or in Noelle's case, 6 days old. They'll be considered a yearling at January 1st. Next term is colt. So colt refers to an adolescent male horse who is still intact. So Walter here is a yearling and he is still intact, meaning he has not been gelded. He could still breed one day, but he is not old enough to be considered a stallion, and he also has not bred yet. So he is my example of a colt. But a colt isn't just a yearling or a 2-year-old. It's also a foal that's newborn. It's a colt if it's a male. A weanling, if it's still intact, is a colt. And a yearling is a colt if it's intact, and so is a 2-year-old. They then become stallions as they get older, but he's a colt. The next term is broodmare. Broodmare meaning a female horse whose primary job is to have babies. So once your mare, her primary job is to carry and nurse foals, that is a broodmare. Now, I wouldn't consider a mare who takes a year off from showing to have one baby a broodmare. I think she just took a year off. But a mare who, you know, maybe has retired from showing or who had an injury and could not go do something other than have babies, and their whole life is dedicated to that, whether it's every year or not, I consider them a broodmare. My example of a broodmare is Ricky, who is my 6-year-old bay mare who is bred to have a baby in 2026. So you get to see and meet the baby that she's cooking next year in just a few months. The next term is a filly. So a filly is an adolescent female horse. Millie here is our filly example. She is only 6 months old and she is a weanling as well. But just like a colt, if your foal is born a female, they are a filly as a foal, a weanling, a yearling, a 2-year-old until they become a mare after they are an adult. So Millie is our example of a filly. And last but not least is Recip mare, or that's short for recipient mare. Essentially, a Recip is a surrogate. So Raven here is my example of a Recip mare. She is a broodmare who doesn't have her own genetic foals. She is carrying an embryo that has turned into a foal, and she will raise it like her own for another mare. And so her specifically, she is carrying an embryo for only Blue Couture, who is a very accomplished show horse, and my Stallion BS Code Red. So she's a brood mare who is not genetically carrying her own foal. She's essentially being a surrogate for. That's a Recip mare. I hope these terms gave you some insight into my channel. I hope they cleared up maybe any questions you had. If you've heard these terms and didn't know what they meant, let me know if you have any questions. And if you have any terms you would like for me to cover in future videos, we would love to make this a long-term series. So me and Zelda would love to invite you to comment what you'd like to see in the future. Go check out my website, katievainslyke.net, and we'll see you in the next one.